A Fox News alert: there are many people who really deserve the thanks of a nation, not only for stopping this shooter before he finished what he intended to do, but also for saving the life of the Congresswoman and perhaps some of the other victims. Mike Tobin is back live for us in Tucson, Arizona with Dr. Peter Rhee, who is part of the team that helped save the Congresswoman's life. Mike?
And the information, John, that we got from the doctors here is that the Congresswoman indeed is in a pharmaceutically induced coma while she recovers. So let me bring in Dr. Peter Rhee, who is the trauma director here at the University Medical Center. And let me ask you, while the Congresswoman is recovering in this condition, what are the risk factors that we're talking about?
Well, her brain can still go through a secondary swelling phase after the injury, and that's our primary concern at this time period. But we're trying to avoid all the secondary injuries that can occur after traumatic brain injury.
Now, as I understand, bone fragments and bullet fragments have been left inside of the skull because it's possible that you could do more damage going in to get those fragments than you would do good, correct?
Correct. She didn't have much going through the tract, so that wasn't too much of a problem. So what we're talking about are very, very small little minor pieces.
So what would be the things that would contribute to swelling in the brain?
It's just a normal process after you get hurt. All tissues will go through an inflammatory phase, and during that period they recruit water and it will swell.
And that could cut off the circulation, it could cut off the nerve function?
Normally, if you're in a tight space and you swell, then it's going to be because of the tightness in it, you can't get blood to go to the normal brain cells. In her situation, the neurosurgeons took the entire skull off that one side, so it has plenty of room to grow or to swell at that time. So the swelling won't hurt it.
Now, how do you preserve the skull when it's being set aside to possibly be replaced?
It is refrigerated.
Something that your colleague had clarified, there were early reports that she had communicated with or recognized her husband, but as I understand, her communications have been too simple to really determine that she indeed did recognize her husband in the recovery room.
That's correct. Well, right now what I can tell you is about the before and after surgery. Obviously, during surgery she was under anesthesia. When she first came in, Dr. Randy Freeze was the trauma surgeon that was in charge of her resuscitation, and he was able to distinguish and determine that she was alive and that she had some brain function because she could follow simple commands such as, squeeze my hand.
And if I could ask you to stand by, because our anchor in New York, John Scott, has a question for you that I'll relay to you. John?
We heard when Dr. Rhee was introduced at the news conference today that he has wide experience in battlefield trauma in Afghanistan and Iraq. I think a lot of our viewers would be fascinated to hear more about that. I take it he's a member of our armed forces, or was.
A lot of people, according to John Scott, our anchor, are very interested in knowing how this relates to your experience in Afghanistan and Iraq, or how your experience in Afghanistan and Iraq benefits you as you came into this traumatic situation.
Well, for a long time, for several decades, when you had penetrating trauma to the brain, the normal way of treating them was not to operate on them. But in the military, we have learned over in Iraq and in Afghanistan that if you're aggressive surgically to go in and do surgery on them, that they will actually do better. And that was one of the reasons why we were able to call in the neurosurgeons right away and get the patient to the operating room as quickly as we did. Obviously, when you get shot in the head and it damages your brain, the chances of you living are very small. But a whole set of a variety of factors, there's about 5 or 6 factors that took place in her that made her do as well as she's doing now.
What are those factors?
That includes that the EMS system, or the paramedics in the field, took care of her quickly, and they were able to bring her to us as fast as they could without doing much intervention, because the most important thing at this time period is really time to get to the surgeon. The second thing is Dr. Randy Freeze doing such a great job of controlling the situation, assessing her, figuring out what needs to be done, and then we were able to get her into the operating room so quickly. So number 3, the neurosurgeons also did obviously an incredible job saving her life. 4th was the post-operative care, and 5th is luck. I mean, she was very lucky that she got a bullet that went through her entire left brain, and that it didn't kill her right away, and that she was able to survive that.
Lucky indeed. And Dr. Rhee, I think I can speak for everyone out there that we're all pulling for success in this case.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. John, back to you.
Mike Tobin there in Tucson, Arizona, outside the trauma center where the Congresswoman is recovering. Mike, thank you.